Hello. That is Rooftop Revolutionaries, the incredible album Resolute. You should definitely check out. We are here with Common Censored, and I'm Lee Camp, joined by Eleanor Goldfield.
Hello.
This is the show where we talk censored stories and people, sensible solutions, and common ground movements to fight and build.
And sometimes other stuff. I feel like that it's a very, proper intro.
I was more proper than normal.
It was more radio-esque. That was Rooftop Revolutionaries,
and
I'm here with Common Censored.
Because I said that was. We were listening to 10 seconds of Rooftop Revolutionaries. I came from radio. I spent 30 years as the morning show host in Des Moines, Iowa. And that led me here, and that's where I got this amazing radio voice.
It's beautiful. It's really...
And none of that's true, but I do have a beautiful voice. So, welcome, everybody. If you are listening to this soon after we're taping it on this fine Monday evening, then you might not have already heard the news.
Breaking news!
That Trump is caving. Go ahead. You do the honors.
I do the honor... Well, I mean... it's not an honorable story, but so breaking news as of 6:30 p.m. on Monday the 23rd of November, the Trump administration has announced that they are going to begin the Biden transition protocols.
Without admitting he won.
So for folks who are unaware what's going on, basically there's anytime a new president is elected, there's a transition team and a transition protocol that basically like, hey, here's what I've been doing to fuck up the world thus far.
You got to pass off the codes on how to obliterate people. So
right, exactly.
It's a handoff thing.
It's a handoff. Not to be confused with a hand job.
There's some of that too.
It's a handy, and so basically that's what's been stalled because Trump refuses to admit that he lost, and he
he does this because he's so horrified. The prime directive of his life is just don't be a loser, and it's like nothing screams loser more than like I lose. Like
I know.
It's like pathetic.
I know, it really is like a fucking like petulant child. But so, and he's still not admitting defeat. His tweet from earlier this evening says, I believe we will prevail. I guess him and, the five douche nozzles in government that agree with him. Nevertheless, he's
mainly talking about Steve Bannon and the various things growing off Steve Bannon's body.
Nevertheless, in the best interest of our country, I am recommending that Emily, who is the head of, who's the general
GSA,
which we'll mention in a moment, but Emily and her team do what needs to be done with regard to initial protocols and have told my team to do the same. So basically, Trump tweeted and essentially announced that he was going to start the transition, which basically he's not admitting defeat because, as Lee just pointed out, that's not his MO. But this basically means that he's accepting what has happened, and at some point he's probably going to sour grapes it, which is what I've said in the past would happen, and he's going to say something to the effect of "fuck it, I didn't want this anyway. I'm going to go. Change the world.
I'm going to start running for 2024."
Right, and in the meantime, let's go change the world from the outside of the Oval Office.
But what I said before we started taping is, I can guarantee you what happened is this woman Emily, what's her last name? What's that?
Murphy.
Emily Murphy, who is the person who has to approve the transition protocol, and she's a big Trumper, and she's refused to do it. I'm guessing that she finally decided, due to various pressure, that whether Trump wins or loses his lawsuits, which he will lose them, and he has been spectacularly as black shit runs down Giuliani's face, she has decided to do it, and rather than Trump basically appear to be like, what? Why'd she do that? Like he'd be the loser. She informed his office that they were going to do it, and he then acted like he told her.
My idea was my idea.
Yeah, he acted like he told her to do it. I told Emily to do it.
So that's the latest from the shitstorm in DC, and I don't know if we want to spend any more time on this.
No, we don't. Let's get on to the next story.
All right. So the next story is actually some interesting news, and we can talk about good or bad, whether regardless of depending on where you stand on this. But it is good news for several reasons. But the basic idea is that a not-for-profit vaccine has shown incredible initial success. This is the so-called Oxford vaccine that was a joint effort between AstraZeneca, which is a British and Swedish company, a big pharma company who is, they're a big pharma company. But for some reason, they have decided to, along with Oxford University, create a not-for-profit vaccine. And essentially, what that means is that they are going to provide it at cost to a lot of poor nations that would otherwise not be able to get the vaccine. And this vaccine has been, quote unquote, a roaring success. Testing was done on 24,000 volunteers in the UK, Brazil, and South Africa with an average effectiveness of over 70%.
But so this is, I think it's important to compare this to what the other companies, which have also come forward and said their vaccine's working too. So there's obvious, one of them's Pfizer. I can't remember the other one.
Sorry.
And they are
Moderna.
They are not for profit. They are very much for profit. So they are, they want to make billions from this. And apparently there's this not-for-profit version, which I hadn't heard about, except Mint Press is covering it.
And apparently it's not only that they're offering it for cheaper, it seems to be doing better than both the Pfizer and Moderna options. So,
well, I saw that they're claiming 90%, so I don't know.
Well, so they are actually also claiming 90% because there's a little footnote here that says when the vaccine was administered as a half dose, then patients were later given a full one, effectiveness increased to 90%. And there were no serious side effects registered among any of the volunteers, none of whom had to go to the hospital as a result of being immunized. And the UK government has already ordered 100 million doses at roughly $3 to $4 a pop, rather than the $20 that Pfizer is charging or the $25 that Moderna is charging for their vaccines.
And something else we should note here is that the two of us, Eleanor and I, have what is known as a nuanced view of vaccines, which I would call an informed view, because people want to be either like, you ever say anything negative about any vaccine and you're anti-science and you're part of QAnon. And the other side of it is
I want all of the vaccines.
All vaccines. None of them have ever done anything positive. They've all been negative, and they're all designed to kill your babies. So those are basically the two teams. And mainstream media is in Team A. And then a lot of people online are in Team B. And there is a middle ground that is kind of not allowed to be discussed. And even a lot of people who are the full, I'll call them the full anti-vaxxers. There's no such thing as a good vaccine. A lot of them point to a lot of work by Robert Kennedy Jr., who is actually a nuanced view if you actually hear him talk about the entire subject. He actually does believe there are good vaccines. He has questions about certain the vaccines, that are forced on kids, and the mixtures, the cocktails that are used on kids. So he has a lot of questions, but he's not a full no vaccine is positive guy, even though he's what everyone points to for their kind of like full anti-vax stance. And anyway, you and I believe there are some good vaccines, and there are bad vaccines where the big pharma has basically taken over these panels that decide what vaccines kids have to get, and so that some of them are forced on kids when they don't need them.
Well, and I think a lot of at the core of this is the issue of a for-profit healthcare system. In a for-profit, and I don't really call it a healthcare system, I call it a sick care system, because the object, as you've also covered in your book and elsewhere, there is money to be made in making sure that people stay sick, and that
billions.
yeah.
Billions.
So from this perspective, it is good to be wary of big pharma saying, hey, you need all of these shots now. Again, that doesn't mean that I am anti, like the measles vaccine or the polio vaccine or whatever the fuck. It means that I am wary and I want to know, okay, what exactly are you telling me that I need? What's in it? What kind of testing has been done? I want to know the fucking science behind it.
Right.
Peer-reviewed science. It's the same argument with GMOs. I'm not saying that there could never be a good crop that's drought resistant or whatever, but I want to fucking know the science. And the same thing holds true here. And
they benefit the kind of the ruling elite, the powerful in this scenario benefit by making it look like a black or white argument. They benefit by no one being able to talk about it outside of the just either you're all GMOs or no GMOs, because then they can more easily make you look crazy for being against all GMOs, and not allow an actual genuine discussion about somewhere in the middle,
And again, this idea of being wary is a good thing, and it also stems from if you've done any research on the machinations of big pharma, you'll quickly find things that are also brought up in this article, which is on mintpressnews.com, written by Alan McLeod. So, for instance, Pfizer has finally agreed to pay compensation to families of 11 Nigerian children who were killed in a meningitis trial where the pharmaceutical giant did not gain the parents' consent to use experimental drugs on them. Cool. 2 years later, Pfizer was forced to pay $500 million in fines over a false and misleading marketing campaign and $55 million to victims who claimed it did not warn them about the risks involved in taking its acid reflux drug. And last year, 44 states came together to file. 44 states coming together to do anything is fucking amazing, by the way. Came together to file a civil lawsuit in a federal court against Pfizer, accusing it of, quote, one of the most egregious and damaging price-fixing conspiracies in the history of the United States, which you are up against some serious competition in that category.
Right.
And AstraZeneca too, which is the British Swedish company that's behind the Oxford vaccine. They're not this shining example of a charitable company or anything like that. They've been convicted over the years of falsely advertising their products, overcharging Medicare and private insurance companies, and of shockingly sexist employment practices. So, yeah.
So good guys.
It's important to note that at the core of this, it is still big pharma. And so being wary is a good thing. And just another example of how twisted our economic and our political system is, as soon as this news came out that the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine was showing great results. Oh, and by the way, it's not for profit. AstraZeneca's stock dipped on Wall Street because not for profit. What the fuck?
What?
You can't just save people.
Well, and you watch whoever made that decision. The board will probably come together and get them fired or something. Like the board will vote to get rid of them or something.
It will be interesting to see how this plays out. Not just in terms of if they can hold steady to the not-for-profit model, but how other big pharma companies react, because obviously countries are going to want to go with the cheaper the cheaper version that also is better. Another point that's brought up in this article is that it's easier to work with. It doesn't have to be stored at minus 94 degrees Fahrenheit like the Pfizer vaccine.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it can be kept in an ordinary refrigerator, meaning that countries that don't have access to these crazy ass refrigeration devices can have it.
It comes in various yogurt flavors and pudding flavors. There's chocolate. There's flan flavored. There's tapioca.
You don't even know what flan tastes like.
I love flan. I'm a flan fan.
All right, you're done. So that this is good news for a few reasons, but also it is interesting to see how ridiculous the concept of the for-profit sick care system really is. And another thing that you've also talked about in the past, Lee, is the idea that we pay for the R&D, the research and development of
Yeah.
all of these. So then to, on top of that, pay astronomical prices to access the vaccine after the fact or the medicine is really fucked up, which is, of
Right.
course, the whole racket behind the pharmaceutical industry.
Most of these, or many of them, the medicines that we buy for, crazy prices, the research comes from taxpayer dollars, that basically government research has helped create these things, and then they're patented and held by private corporations that make them billions of dollars. It's fucking incredible that they can get away with this large-scale robbery, but that's because they've captured the government. The government is basically a own subsidiary of these corporations. And just as a final note, I'd like to say AstraZeneca sounds like the name of like a sci-fi futuristic like 2124 STD.
Oh, I thought you said 2024, and I'm like, that's not that futuristic.
2124. We're talking like 5th generation STDs, like really getting sophisticated. Oh man, he's come down with a case of AstraZeneca.
Yeah, it does sound. Well, what does Pfizer sound? Pfizer sounds like something you cough up when you have COVID.
Pfizer sounds like the noise the laser makes that Pfizer has spent billions of dollars creating, so
attaching to sharks,
so they could shoot cancer at people, so they can make more money.
So speaking of making more money, this flows nicely or disgustingly like a toxic sludge.
Like a discharge, would you say?
Yes, like discharge, like toxic
pussy discharge.
Into the next story, which is a new study finds that hospitals are charging patients more than 18 times the cost of care during the pandemic. The gift that keeps on giving.
That doesn't even make sense to me. I don't.
It is.
What do they just? Does it just say on the bill? Fuck you, 8 times 18. What does it say? I don't understand.
So this is a study by the National Nurses United, which is the largest nurses union in the country. They've also been fighting for quite some time for universal health care. But it's basically a study of the 100 most expensive hospitals in the U.S. And the study shows that these hospitals charge between $1,129 and $1,808 for every $100 of their costs.
And that's not what they normally do, because I know they normally charge crazy prices as well, but you're saying it's gone up even more.
So basically, the study shows that the average markup has more than doubled over the past 2 decades, and hospital profits have skyrocketed by 411%. Between 1999 and 2017, which then hit a record $88 billion, which just think about it for a second. An $88 billion industry that demands sick people, because the only way that they can make money is if people come to the hospital and need life-saving care. I've said this so many times, but that's so fucking disgusting. Yeah. And of course, the point that the nurses union is making is, hey, if you continue to make healthcare so inaccessible to people, more and more people are going to avoid getting medical care. And in particular, in the midst of a pandemic, that's bad, because then these people stay home or they wander outside and they give their germs to a bunch of other unsuspecting people who also can't afford medical care. Right. And then it fucking spirals downwards to, I don't know, to the point we're at now, where, 1 in 25 Americans has had or has COVID?
Whoa. 1 in 27.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, can you believe that we're now to the point where 1 out of every 27 Americans has fucking had COVID-19? 250,000 have died? It's crazy.
And if you survive, and this is also an issue that, and I don't know that there have been any specific studies about this, but I do know just from anecdotal evidence that the number of suicides has gone up in the United States, and this is something that has previously, been tied to the cost of living, which medical care is certainly a part of. And a separate study showed that for coronavirus patients that get care that's considered out of network by their insurer have faced costs ranging from $42,000 to $75,000 if they require inpatient hospital treatment.
Sorry, I just looked up the number, but 257,000 dead Americans, and it's probably higher than that because those are the ones that they tested. And average per day, we're getting close to a 9/11 a day.
Yeah.
So for everybody who's horrified by 9/11,
well, yeah, but
we're near a 9/11 a day.
This is the sick adaptation of human beings. Our ability to accept the status quo, and
I've totally accepted them. I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is, and I'll repeat what the numbers I said because I feel like you didn't hear them because your reaction wasn't what I felt it should be. So I'm going to say it again.
Please repeat them. I was looking up other numbers.
I understand, but I'm saying that as a performer, I wanted a fucking response.
I think our staff is not big enough.
I wanted a response to my astronomically high numbers that I threw out there.
To your AstraZeneca numbers?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So basically, and for folks listening to this that have already heard this, just accept that you're going to hear it again.
As a good human being, accept your fate.
Uninsured COVID patients or those that receive care that's considered, quote, out of network by their insurance company face costs ranging from roughly $42,000 to $74,000 if they require inpatient hospital treatment.
What?
Thank you.
Is that better?
Thank you. That's actually, if you have like a little sound machine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good? That's good.
Yeah, it is fucking. I mean, no, I hadn't heard those numbers. It's. Could you imagine? I mean, you imagine you go, you're like, oh, my dad's sick. I got to get him to a hospital. You take him to a hospital, and afterwards, your life is just ruined. Like, you are now, your next 30 years is trying to pay off these bills. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
This is not the best country in the world for people that run around acting like America's number one. This is, look, even if you, I love the people that want to still argue that we have a good healthcare system. They're like, I don't want to pay more taxes like they do in Canada and stuff. It's like the amount you would pay in taxes extra would not come anywhere near the amount you pay in healthcare.
Well, yeah,
and insurance.
Exactly, and the universal healthcare system is that folks are pushing for is based on the Medicare for All system. I say based because the concept is a nationally improved Medicare for All, not just expanding what we already have, and the costs are you're going to save billions of dollars because $1 out of every $3 that are spent on healthcare in the United States is spent on admin, which means that, like, if you've ever gone into the hospital for a procedure or if you've ever gone in for really anything, there's all these there's like these pages and pages of paperwork and, oh, I need this insurance. Do you have secondary insurance? Do you have who's your primary and who's your second? It's like, holy shit. I just need somebody to look at my knee or whatever the fuck. Like,
and the hours you spend on the phone yelling at them for fucking
right.
not covering what they need to be covering. Like, yeah.
So yeah, the amount of money that would be saved by switching to a universal healthcare system is really astronomical. The nurses union pointed this out. Biden's proposal to essentially expand Obamacare, which would actually increase costs compared to the nationally improved Medicare for All plan, and that's what the nurses union is pointing out, that Biden's plan would actually cost $600 billion more than Medicare for All. So again, that's the avoidance of universal health care is not about saving people money. It's about taking money from the profits, the astronomical profits of big pharma and big insurance companies, which is good for people, but obviously bad for the people that pay, for Biden's stupid fucking ads and his fucking stupid hotels and.
Well, and then when Biden was asked about if Medicare for all got through was passed by Congress, would you veto it? And Biden basically said yes. And his reasoning was, I would want to know where they're going to come up with $15 trillion or whatever. He threw out one of these fake numbers about how much it's going to cost to cover everybody, as if every other industrialized country doesn't fucking do it. Only America can't handle it. And so he acted like it would just be so impossible to cover that cost. Meanwhile, we dump $1 trillion into military every year. So anyway.
Yeah, and of course, just like all the other arguments, whether it be green energy or universal health care, they actually end up saving money. But that is something that is vehemently avoided. Those facts are vehemently avoided in the face of protecting corporate profits.
So, quick note before we get to the next topic. We are not certain, but we think there's a high likelihood we will have another live stream at 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday night at youtube.com/moment.
I like that. You're kind of like
clarity.
a meteorologist now. There's a 75% chance.
75. I'll go 77% chance that we will have a live stream at 8 p.m. Sunday, as we have been doing regularly. Please join us there. If you want to watch last week's, it's up at youtube.com/moment of clarity. Eleanor's movie is at hardroadofhope.com. If you haven't gotten it, you definitely have to check that out. My book is at leecampbook.com. It's 20% off with the coupon code BPAPL. Those are the initials of the title. leecampbook.com. Also, if you're enjoying the show and you want to keep us going, because you'll notice we have no ads except for our own stuff. No one sponsors us. No one pays us. It all comes from you. If you'd like to support the show, that's at patreon.com/commoncensored. Patreon.com/commoncensored. We do a little extra content almost every week as well for the members over at Patreon. All of Eleanor's stuff is at artkillingapathy.com. And you can send us topics, ideas, or thoughts at commoncensored@protonmail.com. All right, shall we keep it moving?
Yes. So this is some news that we actually meant to cover last week, but we plumb forgot. And I think
we got a lot of shit going on.
I think it's partially because we're so unused to good news that
when our brain doesn't function, doesn't register.
I don't remember to bring it up on these podcasts. I just have a private little celebration with myself and some friends, and then I move on. But the Line 5 easement has been revoked by the Michigan governor. So
what is that?
So basically, you might have heard in the fights against dirty energy, the Line 5 fight has been ongoing for quite some time, and it's intersected. It's intersected with indigenous
There's so many
rights.
Fights that I lose track of them.
Yes, well, that's because there's so much fucking dirty energy in this country. But the Line 5 fight has been happening. Again, this part of it is in Michigan, and basically the Michigan governor kind of. I definitely not out of nowhere, but people weren't expecting Governor Whitmer to just all of a sudden revoke the easement, revoke the permit that allows for and this was from 1953, by the way.
For Enbridge, it allows, right?
Enbridge Energy, yeah, which folks might be familiar with Enbridge. They're a big dirty energy company. And so this is the dual Line 5 pipeline. And she has revoked the 1953 easement through the Straits of Mackinac. And this happened on November 13th. She announced that the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, the DNR, would revoke that easement. She's planning for the pipeline to be shut down by May 2021. Basically, not allowing Enbridge to transport petroleum products across state-owned bottomlands. So at the same time, the Michigan Attorney General filed a concurrent lawsuit asking a judge to uphold the governor's actions. So this is a big deal. Folks have been fighting this for a very, very long time. And to quote the Department of Natural Resources Director, Dan Eichinger. Okay, we'll
That's
go
what
with
I'm
that.
going with it.
After spending more than 15 months reviewing Enbridge's record over the last 67 years, it is abundantly clear that today's action is necessary. Enbridge's historic failures and current noncompliance present too great a risk to our Great Lakes and the people who depend on them. That's a hell of a statement coming from a political appointee, because they usually really shy away from any statement that's that strong. And so that's really awesome to hear.
Pretty incredible, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, what?
I was going to, maybe I'm jumping the gun. I was going to say, can you also, what was the other, I wanted to say that this comes on the heels several months later, but on the heels of other pipeline that was canceled, the
Atlantic Coast Pipeline.
The Atlantic Coast Pipeline. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. So this would, and this is a big win for indigenous rights groups, environmental groups. Several Michigan tribes have been fighting this for a long time. I remember interviewing some indigenous youth who live in the Michigan area like 2 or 3 years ago at this point, talking about how they were continuing the fight against Line 5. So this is a very long ongoing fight, as is the case with a lot of pipeline fights. You know, it's a long fight to battle these companies because they're usually so tightly intertwined with the levers of power. So it's this is a big deal. And however, there is a little snag, a little fly in the ointment.
In that scenario, the ointment is good stuff.
I guess
if you're a big ointment fan,
I liked that. What is it? A fly in the martini? No, what's in your martini?
That would be better.
There's something in a martini saying.
Olive is in a martini.
No, but that's good. That belongs there. Fly in the ointment is a saying, but then there's something.
Turd in the punch bowl.
Turd in the punch bowl is another one.
Turd in your martini.
Which is, I always wondered, how the fuck, like, is that something that happens? Do people shit in the punch bowl?
Whether it is or not, I think it sounds like a pretty hilarious prank.
It does, unless you're the one drinking the punch.
Well, yeah, you never want to be on the ass end of the prank.
Literally. So there's concurrently, and I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds or, underground about this specific issue. Folks can... Thank you.
That was a pun. Or
Thank you.
Something.
It was a something.
It was a something.
Thank you for trying to laugh and then also shooting it down at the same time.
I was not shooting it down. I think it was a great jokey you had there.
Yeah, no. So there's a $500 million tunnel project that was basically put into that was basically started as a way to house the Line 5 pipeline, because Line 5 is so old ass rickety. And there are pictures, if you look online, there are like pictures of the anchors that hold it just like coming loose, and it's a fucking mess. Oh, absolutely. And so Enbridge announced back in like 2018 that it was going to create a tunnel that would then house the Line 5. So this is still like this is not part of the the kibosh that has been put down by the mayor. But of course,
it continues. If
you're not allowed to use the pipeline, then why the fuck construct the tunnel? Because the tunnel is also going to be hugely destructive, the construction of this tunnel.
You think it's because they're hoping that the next governor overturns it and they can keep it going?
Probably. I mean, that is part of the, I'm sure where they're holding on to it. Of course, Enbridge has already, said that they're going to fight the governor's decision and all that shit. But absolutely. I mean, they had an agreement with the previous Michigan governor, whose name I can't recall at the moment, but to basically build this whole fucking thing. And so they are desperate to keep that in the works. And of course, it's the same argument. Oh my God, we're going to lose so many jobs if we can't build this stupid fucking tunnel. And you're not going to have energy. You're going to be living like fucking Amish people if we can't build this tunnel.
Right. All the scare tactics they use. It's like we have to get this massively dirty, awful oil that's destroying the planet to you, because otherwise your lights will go off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like I saw when I was driving in West Virginia. If you're driving through coal country, it's still the fucking, if you like lights. Do you like turning on your lights? Then you like coal. And then once you get to fracking country, it's do you like turning on your lights? Then you like fracking. As if like that was a necessary A to B.
Well, that's funny, because for the houses that are powered by wind power, I guess they could put up signs that say, do you like having your lights on? Then it's all thanks to wind. Shut the fuck up.
I know, exactly. And of course, this is also just the idea that the only way that you could power your fucking house is by destroying the planet.
How about we each get our own oil exec to ride a stationary bike, and that powers your house?
Oh my God, that'd be brilliant. Although I think most of them would die of a fucking heart attack.
I would not have a problem with that.
I wouldn't have a problem with that either, except then I would actually be living like an Amish person.
And then you could burn them for fuel.
I like where your mind's going, Lee. Even though it's a bit dark, I like it.
Shall we move on?
Indeed, we shall.
So we got a holiday coming up. I don't know if you've noticed. It is called, there's some dispute about that. What was that?
That was me coughing and choking on little bits of colonialism. So this Thursday is...
It's called Vegan Turkey Day.
Tofurkey Day.
Tofurkey Day.
Save a Turkey Day. Everyone watch the second Addams Family Day. That should be a fucking national holiday.
It's a great movie.
It's so good.
They're both great movies.
If you haven't seen the second Addams Family, please just go watch that. It's fucking wonderful.
The Native Americans get their revenge.
Oh, it's brilliant. It makes me so happy. And somehow the Jews are involved too. It makes me very happy. It's wonderful. The Jews are present at the first Thanksgiving. Little known fact. That's not true.
Oh, my mom has some. So apparently, like, Greek families are known for this as well. I think a lot of ethnic families are known for this, where they attribute everything in history to their lineage or whatever. And so that was one of the things in that Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
Was he kept saying, it's Greek, it's Greek. And that was originally Greek. And, so my mom has some of that as well in her. And she will...
not for Greeks, but for Jews.
Not for Greeks, but for Jews. And she'll attribute just about everything to the Jews. So she has something she reads. Who knows who wrote it? And I don't know whether there's any truth to it, but something she reads every Thanksgiving, where she's like, did you know that at the first Thanksgiving they got the idea for the meal from from Passover? And so it was really a Jewish idea to have dinner.
To have dinner. No one had ever had dinner before.
No one had ever had dinner before.
The Jews. I mean, actually, that I could believe, because the way that Jews eat. But, yeah, that's hilarious. So first off, before I get into setting the record straight for Thanksgiving and some little tidbits that folks might not be aware of, that you can share at dinner if you're having it, and then alienate some people so you have less Christmas presents.
And I was glancing at the tidbits we're going through, and I think these are not the tidbits we've done in past years explaining colonialism. So I think we've got mostly whole new Thanksgiving tidbits.
Yes. So the first one is just an event that I wanted to let folks know about. It's called No Thanks, No Giving. And it's hosted by Indigenous Action, which, if y'all have watched our live streams, then you will recognize Indigenous Action as one of the rad orgs that we've donated to, thanks to the super chat donations. So they have been hosting this event called No Thanks, No Giving every year for 13 years. And this one will happen on Thursday, just like every other year. Thursday, November 26th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's Mountain Time. And it's basically it's an online benefit to support unsheltered relatives and to uplift voices of Indigenous folks from throughout Turtle Island who have been doing frontline mutual aid organizing. So they have a lot of folks that are slated to speak. There's going to be music as well. And it's really about bringing together radical Indigenous voices and really decolonizing that day that some Indigenous folks call the National Day of Mourning. So yeah, it's a way to set the record straight through Indigenous folks themselves. So that's something you can check that out over at indigenousaction.org.
And if you go there and you enjoy it, you can be thankful for No Thanks, No Giving.
There you go. So the other side of this is what some folks call truthsgiving, which is the importance of setting the record straight. And I kind of want to start by saying that if you have a thing where you give thanks for your family and your slippers and your cat or whatever the fuck, that's great.
The slippers that the cat wears is what I really am thankful for.
But it's important to recognize the incredibly brutal and false history of Thanksgiving that is celebrated in the United States, where it comes from, and why we need to decolonize these days and see things through a decolonizing lens. So, Truthsgiving is about separating that myth from fact. So here's just a little history for you. Gonna nerd out. Step into the nerdery with me, folks. And this, so we're gonna start back in 1789, where President Washington declared Thursday, November 26th, as a day of public Thanksgiving.
President Washington was, I believe, the 7th president, if I have that correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, good.
Yes,
Yep.
and Bush was the first.
Yep, I did very good in school.
I can name all of the 30 states. So that's according to the National Archive. And this was basically like a day to celebrate the U.S. Constitution and kind of do the whole U.S. thing for the first time. And then fast forward to October 3rd, 1863, Abraham Lincoln kind of wanted to solidify that a little bit more and announced the nation would celebrate an official Thanksgiving holiday on November 26th of that year. And this was also, I think this is funny, well, a dark tidbit, because this was also following the July Battle of Gettysburg, which was a huge win for the Union Army. So Lincoln is up there being like, let's have a national day of Thanksgiving, fuck the Confederates, on November 26th, that we all give thanks.
Everybody who's left, let's get together and we'll have some Thanksgiving. Anybody, even some of you half-lefters. I see some of you are kind of hanging in there. You're welcome as well. Everybody's still standing. You don't even have to be standing. Everybody, if you got one leg, not even no legs. Anybody with no legs, all you lefters can come and hang out, and we'll give thanks for being left.
So that
was verbatim. His speech.
Yes, 4score and so that part is a little dark. But what's even darker, and this is something that's also important to highlight, is that Lincoln's decree about Thanksgiving came less than a year after he ordered the largest mass state execution of 38 Dakota men in southwest Minnesota. And this date is still commemorated. It's called the Dakota 38+2, so called because 38 were hanged on that day. And then 2 Dakota warriors escaped into Canada, but were eventually captured, returned to the U.S., and hanged in 1865. So that's why it's called the 38+2. But this was, and it still is to this day, the largest mass execution in American history. And this was ordered by President Abraham Lincoln following the Dakota War of 1862, or also known as the Dakota Uprising, where basically this was used as yet another way to violently oppress and perpetuate the genocide against the indigenous peoples of what we now call the United States.
I was told in school that Abraham Lincoln only did good things.
Exactly. That's the fucking problem.
Hold on, you're saying they got something wrong in Virginia public schools? Stop it. You stop it right now.
I'm actually surprised that they told you in Virginia that Abraham Lincoln was a good guy.
Oh yeah, they weren't still they sold the Civil War as if Abraham Lincoln was a good guy, but really both sides were good people and good people on both sides. I think I heard that somewhere.
Well, because your mascot was
Donald Trump. So my mascot.
Confederate.
Well, no, I wasn't even going to get into that. Yes, the high school mascot was a Confederate rebel, but middle school was Tuckahoe is a common name around Richmond, Virginia, because of the Tuckahoe Native Americans, and my middle school and my elementary school, both Tuckahoe. And Tuckahoe Middle School, the mascot was the American Patriots. So we were the Tuckahoe Patriots, which means you're in your name as a school, you are celebrating both the Native Americans and the people that killed them.
It's like a war hawking peacenik. That's what you are.
Yeah.
Wow.
It'd be like being, in Germany and your high school is the Nazi Jews. Like, what? How does that work?
So in this next little tidbit is it really speaks to the lovely marriage between colonialism and capitalism. In 1941, after a lot of back and forth about the exact date of Thanksgiving, if it's the 5th Thursday or the 4th Thursday, carry the one, FDR signed into law that it is in fact the 4th Thursday. And the reason for this was that he was pressured by business leaders who wanted to make sure that people had enough time to Christmas shop. So you are literally celebrating.
I'm surprised they don't keep moving it back a week each year.
I know, it's like now in
third
May.
Thursday, second Thursday. Yeah.
So that is just you're giving your Thanksgiving is literally on the day that it's on so that you can buy more shit.
It's
America.
good to know we've been based, like our calendar has been based on consumerism since really the early days.
Totally. So the final thing before we wrap up here, I just wanted to highlight that that there's another thing that's important to do is to educate ourselves about the land that we now call home or the land that we live on. There's this great website called Native-Land. It's at native-land.ca. I'll put that in the show notes as well, where you can not only see whose land you now live on, but also you can link to learn more about those peoples. For instance, here in Washington, D.C., we are on Piscataway land. And so that's something that you can find out at this site and learn more about those peoples and celebrate the truth. And this does not just mean that we celebrate the horrors, that we also can celebrate and learn more.
Horrors, right?
Horrors.
Okay.
Not whores.
Okay. You can celebrate the whores.
By
the way, that's men and women. All right. There's no reason that a woman having fun should be called a whore, and a guy having fun should be called a cool guy
or non-binary.
or a non-binary. So
yeah,
I celebrate all the whores.
This isn't just about highlighting. I'll say this: the grotesque history. This isn't just about commemorating or not commemorating, but understanding the grotesque history, but also highlighting the powerful resistance and resilience of indigenous peoples, of learning about them, of learning about their history, learning about their lifeways, which are integral to the future of the planet. Which include everything from regenerative farming to understanding our place in the ecosystems. And setting the record straight so that we can move forward with, again, a decolonial understanding and a decolonized lens through which we view the world.
Absolutely, and this is not to say you can't have a special day. I'll be seeing my family. You can still see your family. You can talk about the truth, and you can also talk about being thankful for each other and those kind of things. It's just important not to celebrate just the kind of like America version of the holiday that has been kind of bastardized and make it only about that. You can make it about the truth and make it about family and make it about caring for those who are oppressed and still.
Which you should really do every day.
Which you should do every day. That is true. But
Kind of like Valentine's
I can't
Day.
handle my family every day. Jesus.
No, but it's kind of like Valentine's Day. It's
Once
like, I love you
was-
today.
Once every 6
okay.
months is what I can do for my family. All right, we're going to wrap up, but we're going to do a little extra content over at patreon.com/commoncensored for the members who keep this show going. Please head on over there, patreon.com/commoncensored. We have I'm going to go 79% chance of a live
I
stream.
thought it was 77.
It went up. I was waiting to see how this went. 79% chance of a live stream Sunday, this coming Sunday at if I started on with the radio voice, I should Sunday. Join us for a live stream with Lee Camp featuring Eleanor Goldfield and also Lee Camp and a special guest Eleanor
Wait,
Goldfield.
so I'm just featured?
I was just saying names. You're ruining my promo. You're ruining my promo. That's only at youtube.com/moment of clarity. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. 81% chance. And let's see.
Your math is
Eleanor's
faulty.
movie is at Art Killing. No, it's not.
No, it's not. I mean, you can link to it
it's
from
at
there,
Hard
but
Road
it's
of-
a better.
Stop talking. hardroadofhope.com. Eleanor's other stuff is at artkillingapathy.com. And Jen's event.
No, that already happened.
Oh, shit.
I tried to delete it from the notes. How did you put it back in the notes?
Okay. Well, repeat the website you wanted to give them earlier.
Indigenousaction.org is where the
you.
No Thanks, No Giving is happening, and native-land.ca is where you can find out about the land that you're currently living on.
You need to work with your delete because your delete is not on.
Hey, you know what? You can
delete.
do something.
It's
You
not
can
top-notch delete.
you can delete something.
I've
deleted
been doing a lot. I've spent the whole show calculating the percentages of the Sunday live stream. Thank you guys. We will see you next week. Keep fighting.
Act out.